Hi, Tea Society. Welcome back to the Antisocial Planet. Today we are checking out Mushi-shi episode 3. Finally, I know, but I really am excited to get back into the series. I think that it has some really interesting storylines in it and world building. I love the way that it is focusing on these very character-driven stories. Like, we follow a different main character in each of the episodes. I say like I'm an expert. I'm only on episode 3, so I don't know, but so far that's the vibe that I'm getting of getting to have this very like episodic storytelling, and we get to meet a new character that we follow throughout the stories. And I just really love character driven storytelling, and I think that there's just such a rich opportunity for all of the world building and mechanics behind this that I just find it really intriguing. So I'm looking forward to getting some more episodes under my belt. In 3, 2, 1, go. It's just so pretty too. Like it gives me like the Studio Ghibli vibes, but with a bit of a different lean to it. Because I feel like Studio Ghibli films are made with the intent of having a younger audience watch them. Whereas like this show feels less of that intent. So there's like a bit more of like a creepy factor to some of it. Maybe I'm just a coward. Also a strong possibility. I can't really do anything that is like super scary because I don't like it. That being said, I feel like I've gotten braver over the years. I've definitely checked out some creepy anime before, but it's not usually my comfort zone, so I feel like this is like in the comfort zone for me where it's kind of cozy and whimsical. I could take that. Let's go. I'm excited to see what we're gonna get into. Because again, it seems to what people have told me, it's like a very like episodic storytelling, so I don't really know where we're gonna end up one episode to the next. Except like it'll probably have to do with something like supernatural ghost related. We near a volcano. Ooh, the sound design there. Of like covering your ears and having like all that like rumbling tuned out. Pretty. Ooh. I love the little animation, a little bit of like resistance while he's walking in the snow. Huh? You sound very young. Your ears would be what now? I know we're getting into like folk lore kind of territory with a lot of this, and there does seem to be a bit of a something very gruesome will happen. But I wasn't expecting there to be ear consumptions. He does go to very remote places. Ooh, a place where even the wind doesn't pass through is eerie. Ooh, interesting that we have like an ear illness after the like story of like if you don't cover your ears, they'll be like eaten. Ugh. Oh, this stresses me out. It always is. Interesting. Strange that we're playing with like sound so much. I love that there's like a theme that's just being pulled through a bunch of these, like a village where like the wind doesn't move through and there's snow blanketing that is muting the sounds. I like that they look kind of like shells, but also like cochleas in the ear, which is also like how sound kind of vibrates through. Yeah. See, that's what I just said. Can you tell that I grew up with a deaf person? And I'm like, inner ear anatomy, I know. There's so many moments of silence too. Like the music goes out. Ooh. I mean, I guess it's good that it's gone. He always looks so unimpressed. Ginkgo? I think it was salt too, like snails, salt. Yeah, I was gonna say, is it the boy? Homer, it seems to be the center of what's going on. I mean, he doesn't talk all that much anyway. Ooh. And you have the different soundscape. Yeah. Like this episode is doing a really cool things with the sound design on it. Ooh, crazy that like it's so loud internally, but he can't hear the other people around him. Interesting too how much he seems like kind of zoned out because like there's so much overwhelm happening internally. Yeah, it's difficult when it's in your head. You can't cover your ears to get away from it. So we need a tactic. Yeah, I'm like, it would be so much. And I was just saying, like, this little boy is like so tuned out because there's just so much overwhelm happening internally. As someone who gets overstimulated and overwhelmed, that freaks me out. To like have your brain be like too loud. I'm like, yeah, been there more. Not as quite as mystically as this case, but have definitely had that. Oh, I love the like little tent to help kind of silence everything. Push the sound back anyway. Ah, is that what the cigarette is for? I thought you just had stress. Yeah, I'm like, it's just like if there's the sheer number of them, at least from like the warping around him, it seems like there's so many. So this seems like this village isn't as silent as it originally appeared. Oh, yeah, I was gonna say it looked like she maybe also had the horns. Her face was covered. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, I'm assuming she was covering her ears because she had the same condition. Oh, yeah. There must be like a source of some kind, right? Like a reason that it's happening back to back like that. Yeah, I'm like that would get to you too. Like it wouldn't just be like the noise that would push you to the point of irritation and like dissociation, but you also like wouldn't be able to sleep. You can't escape the noise. Hmm? Hope. Ugh, what a difficult position to be in of like wanting to escape the noise, but then having the only alternative be like nothing and having that be like a different feeling, especially like the stark contrast. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is the noise trying to communicate? If you're just going out for a walk, why can't we tell anybody? Oh, they'll like go even crazier. Poor darling. What a shot of like being suspended in this white space. And then just like the footprints. Some beautiful like art design moments. Gonna have to go out and find him. Mm-hmm. True. I actually love going out after it snows. The like suspense of that moment is so beautiful. Like the lack of music at certain points in this is so fascinating to go along with the story. And then these like jarring sounds at other points. Yeah. Ooh, put it together. Ooh. Is that where they moved to? Ooh. Interesting. The like wind up the other way that we saw and then having the opposite direction because they're kind of like opposing forces to one another. Oh, see, the sound design here is cool too. Ugh. Yeah, like we had at the beginning of the episode. Fascinating. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Like talking about like the sound that's just inherently there in the human body. Yeah, like I was saying, like the volcano at the beginning. Crazy sound design on this episode. Yeah, it was like the like lava flowing in you, but also like the sound of the earth moving is very similar to the sound of like what it is like for humans, right? Like a weird connect, like a connection between those two things of like what the internal of the earth sounds like and what the inside of a human sounds like. And then we get to see like blue sky for the first time this episode. Ooh, like probably creepy, but sure. Such a beautiful way of like bringing the whole thing together, like the start of the episode to here. Wow. What a beautiful episode. That was actually incredibly done. Like I was talking before about how there's just such a beautiful vibe to the show, like both in terms of the aesthetic of it. I feel like the backgrounds are so gorgeously done. Like the nature, it's always in these very like isolated places. So there's always this gorgeous natural imagery in there. And then having these more simplistic designs for the actual characters to like contrast against that background. But also I feel like it adds to some of the like whimsy and like folktale feeling of the story. There is something like timeless and weighted to these stories, but also just the way that that was designed, like the sound design of that episode is so fascinating. There's so much silence in it. There's so many points of just these long stretches where there's no background music or like sound design or environmental noises. It's just like the characters talking. And that's the only thing that we get as a way of sharing information, right? There's a bit of narration for us in order to understand the story, but like every other sound is taken out. And then these moments of jarring noise and clatter, and then having the moments where we do have sound design coming in, it's very like specifically chosen. And I think that that's so fascinating for this particular story. I feel like there are so many things that I could say. Again, as someone who grew up with someone who was deaf, I always have a little bit of a geek moment when I get some kind of stories that are centered around like hearing loss and the experience of being someone with hearing loss. So having a story like this was not something that I was expecting, but like immediately kind of clocking some of the imagery in it and some of the experience of it. And I think that it's fascinating to have all of these elements of it's never actually silent, both like in the village that they were in, but also the internal experience and the contrast of the internal noise of like our bodies, right? Like our bodies make noise and we register that because our like our eardrums and our inner ears are inside of us. And there's just so many things that I feel like I could deconstruct about this episode, but I feel like I might get a little bit in the weeds about that. But I think that it was just beautifully done, not just in terms of having that like gorgeous quiet storytelling that I'm starting to see a pattern for with this series, but also just very much leaning into the experience of that, right? Taking out all that noise is like the experience of somebody who doesn't necessarily have full hearing capacity, and then having those like jarring louder noises. Or even for me, I'm watching it as the Japanese voice acting and then having like subtitles subtitles is an experience of having hearing loss and all of that. So I think that there are so many elements in this that I could just pull apart and appreciate getting a story that is centered around that experience and is trying to bring some of the audience along with that experience whilst also being very respectful about it, in my opinion. Again, I'm not a member of the deaf community, so I can't speak on their behalf, but as someone who has spent a lot of time around people who are part of the deaf community and learning about it, it definitely had a very beautiful way of telling that story and that experience. And again, trying to bring people along with that experience who are not people with hearing loss or part of the deaf community. So I think there are so many gorgeous parts of this and so many little elements feeding into that central theme of like noise and sound and silence. So it just makes me even more excited to be getting back into this series. So I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click this play to go into my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so next time I post a Mushi-shi reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.